Hey, Michelle here from Sensate Soul, as well as the Soul Translator, and I work around sensitivity, senses, spiritual and personal and professional growth, and particularly with my specialty of working with empaths, HSPs, and what I lovingly call us empreneurs. So in this video, we're going to go into a pretty touchy topic, and that is the victim mindset. Can you see, I'm just like, I don't even want to say it because this can set off a lot of people, and it is a very sensitive subject. And it's also one of those things that is, the secrets, the shame, as Brene Brown says, hides in the secrets and stays secret when we hide those things, and bringing them out, like talking about the victim mentality and mindset, is something that when we do it for ourselves can really help us let go and be released from its pattern. Because with more awareness, then we can, have way more sovereignty and way more empowerment in our lives through that self-awareness. So the victim mentality and mindset, I'm going to give a different spin on things today, and I want to tie this into a couple things, particularly for HSPs and sensitives, and as well offer at the end a couple little tips and awareness tricks that you can do for yourself to make sure that you are not being a victim of the victim mentality. And I also want to share a personal story here to back up what I'm talking about. So first off, to start, I want to give you permission. I give myself permission, and I want to put it out there to you to give the victim inside you a break. You heard me right. It's a little bit, like I said, this is a different twist on things. Give that part of you inside that feels a victim, because we all do at different times. It's actually a really common, I believe, like kind of humanistic, existential thing that we all feel at times, some more than others, some people more than others, sometimes more than others, and some situations more than others. We are not in control of everything. That's why there's so much perfectionism and control freakishness. Believe me, I am definitely a recovering perfectionist. I work with that one very deeply with myself because I was raised around alcoholism and addiction, and it's one of my things that I do to try to give myself a sense of control. So this victim mentality is actually, I want to normalize it. I want to say, hey, you know what? It's totally understandable that you have that victim mentality because, it's just kind of part of life. Now, of course, there's the level of it that gets really unhealthy, that becomes an excuse, that can, hold us back, that can hold us down, that can get in our way of truly having a life that we want, the people in our lives that we want, a sense of calm, peace, that internal, wonderful, sensate world that feels connected and is able to really feel fulfilled with the very beingness, the existence, and all the things that comes with it. So of course, everything is in those extremes. And if you have a mindset, or if you know of people who have that mindset of constantly being the victim, it's a classic protection mechanism, basically. And it really can get in the way of us to change, move forward, let things go, forgive, all of those different things. But this is, again, going back to that actual genius of the victim mentality, if you look at it that way, in the sense of that being a victim allows us to stay safe, allows us to feel like we are protected. And here's the bottom line of it that's really important, especially in the work that I love to do, is it disempowers you, right? It totally leaks your power. This is also one of the big reasons I'm so against the whole idea that we absorb energy. And there's no science also, by the way, that backs this up, unless you're looking at things on the completely subatomic level. But that's different than saying you walk by somebody and you just suck up all of their negative energy. I have actually, in my soon launching Sensate Soul School, little sidebar here, there is a free link there to a course that has just like 4 or 5 videos that I've done on this topic alone, to be able to hear all the different angles of why we need to stop believing that, whether you're an HSP or not. Because in essence, the belief and the mindset that we absorb energy from people is a victim mindset. It is it really supports that whole thing of like, we're not in control, we have no discernment, we have no choice, which are more important than control, but that everything is just, we just unconsciously are at the whim of everything around us. And that is an extremely disempowering and victim-like mindset. So to get rid of that one is super, super important to your mental health, your physical health, energetic health, psychological health. So going back to this idea that the victim mentality is actually a genius protective mechanism, really gives us the opportunity to give us ourselves a break, like I was saying, with like, just have more empathy for that part of you. This is how I've learned how to release the victim in me, and continue to work with it, because of course it just keeps coming up. And I'll share that story in a minute. Because when we have empathy for that part of us that felt like we needed protection, when we couldn't have it, whether when we were a child or younger or in a situation that we truly felt we were out of control, where somebody else did victimize us in some sort of way, we have empathy for that part of us that needed protection then, but didn't get it and maybe couldn't have it. So then having it now and understanding where that comes from really gets us out of the negative pattern that the mind can then come in and start feeding off of that mindset, which has many different expressions. It's not just a victim mindset. It comes out as sabotage. It comes out as self-doubt. It comes out as unworthiness. It comes out as, the feeling like things are always working against you, and why even try? So it really just cuts off. It can cut off our enthusiasm or our willingness to take risks and make changes and go for the things that are maybe a little riskier or a lot riskier. So working with that part of us that feels like it is a victim is in essence self-empathy, and it also is acceptance. So another aspect of healing this part that feels like the victim is inner child work. And some of us may feel like a little giggle at that sometimes, but that's where a lot of the stuff came from, really, is parts of us that didn't feel like we were protected or safe, or something was denied, or we were criticized, or something was told about us that was wrong, or that we were wrong, which is where shame comes from. And we get to be able to work with that part, and there's many different ways to do this, to let go of that victim mindset. So it doesn't just happen overnight because you decide to do it, even though that can be very powerful, but it really is about having that level of self-empathy. Because the thing is, that whole idea of what we resist persists. If you push up against the victim part of you and you feel like you shouldn't have it, or you're wrong for feeling like a victim, or you're better than that, you're rejecting that part again. So being able to sit with that part that believes it's a victim will help release the mindset of it. So here's my personal story on this. For the last year plus, my house has been on the market. And I'm selling in order to travel with my son more, to take care of some debt, to be debt-free, basically, and because it feels like this chapter in this beautiful floating home that I've enjoyed for the last 8 years is finished. It feels like there's other things that are calling my soul. So I took the risk and put the house on the market, and it's been a tough year. It's been 4 now offers that fell through in the last 7 months that there's really no good reason why they have. It's been all about it hasn't had anything to do with the house. It's been about these extraneous kind of things about divorces, or people getting bad advice, or wrong information, and it's just been really frustrating. I have very much felt like the victim many times, because It's tough waiting for something that you intentionally choose to do, and then you put all your energy towards it and you take the risk, and then it's like, you're meant to sit and wait until it's right timing, or till the stars align, or till the right person comes along. And all of these other circumstances have been really out of my control. So what has been in my control is to trust, to build my trust. That's always a challenge. When is it? And to also let go of the victim, because if I go into the victim mentality, it could drive me crazy. It could feel like things are all working against me, because all of these things were the deals falling through were all kind of random things. And it has nothing to do, like I said, with the house, the quality of the house, the inspection of the house, the price of the house, all of those things. And I know there's a lot of worse things that could happen in life that create victims, but we're not really here to judge what one person's experience or trauma is over another, because that's never helpful. There are shocking and disrupting things that happen on all levels. And for me, not being able to take this next step in my life, and also of course the financial debt that it has also created in my life, has been a source of trauma. And the healing on the other side of it, to be able to, as the saying goes, let go and let God, or let source, or let life, however you want to say that, and to trust. It has really deepened my trust. It has really put me in a very empowered place, honestly, even though I could have gone completely into disempowered and victim mode. So you're probably asking at this point, how do we take our power back? And here are 3 ways that I suggest that are really helpful. The first one is simply pay attention. Notice to your inner talk and notice what story you're making out of it. If your internal dialogue, or your monkey mind, or whatever you want to say, has that singular focus around something happening to you, why does this always happen to me? I can't ever get out of this. This will never change. It's got that real kind of defeatist, fatalistic kind of like, wah, wah, what's the point kind of energy to it. I invite you to step in to that dialogue with yourself and go, now hold on, wait a second. What are you scared about? Have a conversation with it. And you can even imagine that part of you, sitting across the room from you in your mind's eye, or you can write it out, whatever works best for you, and have a conversation and do your best to understand and have empathy for that part of you that is feeling like it is the victim, like, oh my God, this is happening again. Why me? Okay, so just really give it some air space, give it some time, instead of shutting it down quickly with some sort of criticism or rejection. Let it speak through what's bothering it. And then as you're in that dialogue, you can share with that part of you, evidence that's opposite of that. You can say, hey, well, what about that time where this worked? Or what about, hold on a sec, what about, did you forget this thing happened? So you can just have this really simple, kind, and empathetic dialogue with yourself internally. All right, so number 2 is change state. I don't mean change states where you live in, but change state of what you're doing. If that incessant mind chatter is coming in and going blah, 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 telling you all the things that are wrong, get up and do something different. Go for a walk. Have a little dance break in your living room. Make yourself a nutritious meal and do something positive and affirmative that gives you a sense like you are back in the driver's seat. Go and explore the world just for a moment with your senses. Tune into the sights around you, the colors, the sounds, the smells. Just break state. So instead of putting your focus on the incessant chatter of the victim that can go womp womp, whine whine, moan moan, go to another state. This is not ignoring. It's a little bit different from the first one, I know, but it's not ignoring. It's more of like You know, when a child is having a temper tantrum, instead of telling it to stop doing it, you can distract it, you can hold it, you can say, yeah, it's okay that you feel this way, I get it. Do you want to draw this, or do you want to play with something else? So you give that state options, but you don't feed the tantrum, you don't feed the energy. So you're just putting your focus on something else that is positively reinforcing and gets, breaking state is just getting you out of that spiral of what can happen when we get stuck in a mindset pattern. And we just, give it different information. Choose something that feels more empowering, like taking a walk or a good meal, or just simply saying, yeah, I hear you, that's okay, but we're still going to move forward and do this. And then the third one here to be able to work with any sort of victim mindset is emotional freedom technique, or tapping, or as I also call it, empathy freedom technique, because it does help to increase our empathy and forgiveness and acceptance for ourselves. And that is, you can find lots of different videos on YouTube. I teach this a lot. It's a wonderful self-healing technique, and it also exponentially is even better when you have a group of people or somebody else doing it with you. So it's just really fantastic. It's like a great trifecta of emotions and tapping using the vibration and energetics of that on pressure points, and then also the psychology underneath with being able to speak up and speak on these things that often tend to be those secrets, going back to the beginning of the things that we hide inside, that maybe we don't always even admit to ourselves, but it helps really clear them out. And of course also in Sensate Soul School and in my work I use a lot of EFT to be able to support you in shifting mindsets. And I have a really easy EFT video on how to be able to do it and the importance of it and what are each of the pressure points, so that you know a little bit more about why it's so effective. And that's over at Sensate Soul School. So there we have it, a couple ideas about how to be able to shift your mindset on the victim mindset. All right, just a quick recap here. So meet the victim mindset where it's at. Don't judge it, criticize it, but also don't let it get the best of you. And there are ways to be able to help clear it. One of the biggest ways is to be able to just have empathy for it and acceptance, whether you're doing that through inner child work, inner dialogue work, changing state, being able to not feed it much energy, or through EFT. These are all great ways to be able to shift these victim mindset. Give yourself a break. We all have the victim inside us to a certain extent, because there's a lot of things that could come at us that we feel we don't deserve, or that other people don't deserve, or, shit happens. And that's part of life. It's how we deal with it that makes the biggest difference. And also, please drop any sort of idea around absorbing energy, because it is one of the worst victim mentality mindsets around, especially as an HSP and empath. That's going to take you out by the knees, if you believe that, quicker than anything else. So please do yourself a favor and drop that one. All right, that's it for this video. So please do give it a like, comment below if you so choose, if you have something you want to say about this video, something you want to share. Subscribe to my channel, share this with a friend, and as well come on over to Sensate Soul, as well as check out Sensate Soul School soon, which will be available and have lots of different courses, including that video for how to be able to do EFT. And also join us on the list there so that you can hear things that I only share through private emails. Thanks so much for watching. Take sweet care, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.